Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. Hope you guys have all had a great day. This is the Market Recap. And, today was kind of one of those days. Maybe you just put on the TV, kick your feet up, relax, and not trade, right? It was a quiet day. Crude was really the mover here today and kind of a little surprised, maybe. We saw a boost of 15 million barrels yesterday, and we have prices going higher. And you know what? I swear the gas stations just wait for the second to see crude oil go higher, right? I filled my truck up 2 days ago at $1.79 a gallon. Yep, perks of living in Wisconsin. We got pretty low cost of gas. We filled up at $1.79. Today, I had to drive to the UPS store to go mail a box, and it went up to $1.94. And truthfully, the prices of crude really haven't changed more than about $1, $2 across the board when you look at the price per barrel. Stocks pretty inside, but man, was it fun to watch another fun IPO. Yesterday, we had Dash. Dash went public, skyrocketed to the moon, or fell just shy compared to Airbnb. Airbnb, last I looked, up 120%. Airbnb went public today. They were kind of expecting yesterday. They were talking maybe a valuation on the high side, $65 a share. I think it opened up at 182. So big, huge open there for that one. Hopefully, maybe everyone here is an early investor in Airbnb, and now you guys can just sit back and enjoy it. If not, maybe we'll find some opportunity to get in that stock. Stocks have been an interesting one to watch this year. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. There comes a point where there's fair market value or estimates for what a stock should be worth, and then once it doubles that, it can just go from there. This is not my own opinion. This is something I heard through an interview on the podcast. Limit Up, make sure you check it out. I'm actually excited about next week's podcast. It's with a family friend of mine. Grew up as neighbors. He traded with my dad down on the floor and was gracious enough to come join me. He's the one that was talking about this. He's pretty active in the stock market. Really great trader, so definitely a worthwhile listen. All right, Christopher, good to see you. Tanya, you're back. Good to see you as well. James, Tanya, great video on stops. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. I thought that was a really good one to talk about. Tim, Tanya, what type of truck? I used to drive a Dodge Ram. My gas bill was higher than my mortgage. Tanya, I got a 2019 Ram. Yep, gas through the roof. Oliver, how are you? Wish me luck starting a 150K combine. Outstanding, Oliver. I wish you luck. My tip for you, take it or leave it. But I've watched a lot of traders go through the trading combine. I've worked with a lot of our funded traders. The successful ones take their time, slow and steady. It's not a race. Don't feel like you got to slap on the 15 contracts. I've been professionally trading for more than almost half my life now. And very rarely in a small account will I throw on 15 contracts. That's a lot. So keep it small. I know there's that concept of that subscription fee at the end of the month to roll into the next month. In the long run, you're going to save, trying to keep it small and not rush to hit that profit target. So just take your time. Kevin, good to see you. And Oliver, absolutely. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at these charts, see what we have going on. Like I said, relatively quiet day here today, other than crude oil. Crude oil, let's go ahead and dive into that one first. We are over $2 above where we settled, our high today was over $2 above where we settled yesterday. Yesterday settled all the way down here at 45.52. Hey, how about that? It's our low in the overnight session. That was our check. That was the chance. Market opened up. Prior to the open, we had that look lower, but as soon as this thing opened up, it really just took off. We saw a lot of short time frame profit taking throughout the rest of the day. So a lot of people got in on this long, and now we're starting to find a little bit of a reasonable value. So we're going to call this, let's just call it 47. We're starting to kind of find some reasonable value in this market. So here was my here's my thought process behind it. Chances are we showed a trend. What do we talk all the time? We see that trend to the upside. We're looking for weakness. And that weakness overpowered and really never gave a chance to get in on that initial trend. So here we're seeing that this was really short time frame buyers picking this thing up, locking in those profits. They're catching close to $2 in this move. That's a pretty big move for most small time frame traders. So they caught a nice move. They locked in these profits. Now, where are we going to look from here on out? This is the big question. We've noticed we can look back, and this is what's so great about trading is we can kind of get an idea. Really what I'm going to keep an eye on here, which is what I'm liking, I kind of am going to pay attention to this trend here. This was a slow trend lower. Now I'm going to watch and see if this market starts to approach back down to this trend line. That's what I'll keep my eye on here going forward. Remember, tomorrow is Friday. So don't feel like you got to push it too much. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. Settlement price, 36.72 half. 36.72 half. As soon as this market opened up, that was our move. We caught the move. We looked for it to close back to settlement price. It did just that. And then it got volatile, right? We have a lot to consider here today in the equities. Congress is going on recess until next week, so stimulus out the window for now. And truthfully, are we really even expecting it at this point? So that one's not happening. Jobless claims. We're starting to see some poor outlook on jobless claims, right? We saw today the expectation was a high of 800,000. We were well above that, 853,000. I want to keep every one of those people in our thoughts here. Hopefully they can find something soon and get a job. So we'll keep them in our thoughts. But we've got that going on. We have this, and I don't want to give any input because I don't have any knowledge on it. But we're seeing Texas, along with 17 other states, filing this lawsuit to the Supreme Court against all the swing states, or a majority of the swing states that are going on right now. So that's causing some questions, myself included. I don't know what to think of it. I just don't know. So there's a lot of questions out there, and we had to be cautious of that. And oh, by the way, we talked about it yesterday. Facebook facing massive lawsuit right now. They're getting hit pretty hard by the SEC. I believe it is. The SEC is going after them. And Facebook may have to dissolve WhatsApp and Instagram to cover the lawsuit. So that's big stuff going on. And yes, Facebook, that's tech, but it starts to weigh on everything. Next, speaking of tech, let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ settlement price, 12,367. This market, just like S&P's, we opened up and man, we took right off to that settlement price and right through. After that initial move, it really just found fair value at settlement price, continued to bounce off of it, and that's kind of where we were looking. Probably not going to catch this first move, but maybe we can catch that next move right down towards settlement price. We were able to manage some risk, and we just try and catch that small upside move, lock in the profit. Wait for it again, catch that small upside move, lock in the profit. So we did, unlike crude oil, NASDAQ here, we saw the weakness. We're able to get on the weakness, catch that move up. Weakness again, we can buy it and catch that move up. And that really is what was our opportunity here today. Again, these are big candlesticks, right? These are big moves we have seen here the last 2 days in the equity markets, especially the NASDAQ. It makes it maybe a little bit more difficult to catch some decent trade there. So if you felt like you were getting chopped up, that's okay. Understand, we're seeing things a little bit different right now than we do historically. Next, let's go ahead and look at gold. Settlement price, $1,838.50. All right, gold. Similar to the S&Ps, similar to NASDAQ market. And here's what we like. Kind of paying attention to some of these moving averages. Notice how nicely the last couple of days they've come into play. This one is the 20-period moving average. 200-period moving average. I like to watch anywhere from a 20, a 50, a 100, and a 200. Those are the ones I'm paying attention to. So 200 period, not 200 day, 200 period moving average. This market opened up, rallied right to that moving average, which happens to be yesterday's break point, which was also 200 period moving average. Market rallied right up to it, broke right back down, and we didn't get all the way down there, but we tried to come check that overnight low. So these are things that I'm looking at myself in my own trading. I will throw some of this stuff on. These moving averages, simple, and the SMA and the EMA, two of the moving averages I like to pay attention to. And like I said, I'm looking at anything from 20, 50, 100, and 200. Typically that 100 to 200 day, if I'm trying to find a move down to that on the daily, then that's a bigger move. That's a little bit more long term. But if we bring that 200 or 100 down into these 30-minute charts, we may see some opportunity as the market approaches it. Also, again, I will say it again, 20, 50, 100, 200. Those are the ones that I do look at myself. Next, let's go ahead and look at the currencies, and we'll get on out of here. Starting with the euro. And man, did we see volatility this morning. We had the shocker in the jobless claims, and that sent ripple effects across the board. Euro is going to see some volatility. Boris Johnson is in Brussels trying to avoid a no-deal Brexit still. That's still on the table. They're trying to avoid that. So we know the euro is going to see some volatility. Market opened up this morning and really took off to the races. I don't expect you to catch this trade, be in this trade. If you happen to be long pre-open, maybe you got lucky. Truthfully, this is high volatility, stuff we don't really see with this market. It would have been different if it was one directional, but we see these massive pullbacks multiple times. We're seeing these huge moves. This was a difficult market, and I'm just going to leave it at that. This was difficult trade. If you caught in on one of these runs, great. Tough to manage the risk when we are seeing these massive swings. Lastly, let's go ahead and look at the yen, and I'll let you guys get on out of here. We're not far from the weekend. Similar to gold, similar to euro, similar to a lot of these markets we're looking at here today. Yen opened up and really just started that creep higher, but we saw, just like the euro, we're seeing these big sell-offs working ourselves to the upside. But we fell nicely into yesterday's range. Once we really kind of accepted within yesterday's range, it gave us some opportunity to look at value area low. Excuse me, when I say range, I meant yesterday's value area. And truthfully, yesterday's range was a decent opportunity as well. So once we broke into value area yesterday, that's where I think things calmed down and gave us some reasonable trade to possibly catch the long off yesterday's value area low here to maintain and move with this trend to the upside. Alrighty. All right, everybody. Those are our markets here today. See some questions and comments. Let me take a look at all of that. Dan, good to see you. New name here. Excited to have another Dan in the room. Vlad, good to see you. Switching over to March contracts tomorrow. Great, Vlad. Yeah, Dan, we are in the middle of a roll, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that stuff. Tomorrow, John will be on with the forecast, taking a look at all that stuff. So we are in the middle of a roll. I personally, I don't have my dome up to check contract time on that, or volume on that one right now, but we're still floating. As of yesterday, we were still in D's, so pretty heavily. Mike's a little choppy. I do apologize about that. For some reason, I've been having some issues the last 2 days with my microphone, so hopefully I can get my computer cleaned up and we can have things a little bit more smoother. On that note, guys, as always, let's take a look at some fun stuff. Tesla back up a little bit here today, $627 a share. We got the VIX floating pretty steady, same as where we were yesterday, just above 22. Dan, what do we find out when we have to move to March. So Dan, we do send out an email every Sunday called the Weekly Kickoff. If you're not subscribed to our emails, just shoot our support team, support@topstep.com. Shoot them an email. Let them know you want to be subscribed to the email. So every Sunday we send out an email with everything from what products are rolling over, what economic events you have to be flat for, things to look for in the market that week, as well as some content to maybe help you guys out. The simplest way to do it, though, truthfully, because we're going to give a date, and it's subjective, right? Or it's not subjective. It is subjective. Excuse me. I always mess up subjective and objective. It's subjective, right? So the key is I keep it as simple as this. I put front month and the month that I'm rolling to, domes next to each other. And I go, there's more volume on the bid and offer on this one than this one. That's the month I'm going to trade. That's what we want. We're not going to knock you because you were trading because it's in the middle of the roll and it's 50-50. Typically, if you're in a funded account, we'll reach out to you and just say, hey, let's make sure we move to the next month. Yeah, Magnum, that's an option too. I still don't think watching the spread's going to give you specifics, because there are still spread traders that are going to trade those spreads for a while. Truthfully, looking at the dome for the futures contracts, the best way to do it. If you go to the CME website, they've reorganized it. It's a whole new user journey throughout their website, but you can still get all the same information. If you go to products, and whatever product you're trading, and it's going to tell you when expiration date is, when first and last trade's going to be. It's going to give you a ton of information in there. Historically, those are pretty decent, and then you can look at prior day volume or prior day open interest volume of front month to the back month and get an idea of when that roll is coming. There's so many different ways to do it. My best advice: tune in for the market forecast every day, 8 a.m. Central Time, and Hoag's going to tell you when exactly each product's rolling. So we definitely try to keep an eye on those things. Awesome, guys. Thanks for everyone chiming in on that one as well. All right. So we talked about VIX. We talked about Airbnb, which was pretty exciting to see Airbnb open up. I love IPOs. If you guys don't enjoy watching IPOs, I don't understand you. They're fun to watch. They're fun to understand. I have a couple companies I've been able to get in pre-IPO. So watching these IPOs, getting an idea of, you think about it like these early investors that were able to get in ahead of time, typically when they're doing that IPO valuation and they're getting an idea and they're saying, well, we think we're worth $50 a share. And then they open up at 100. Gosh, that's just such a thrill. I love watching that stuff. All right, this date in history, as always, first one, 1901, the first ever Nobel Peace Prize is awarded in Stockholm, Sweden. That one's pretty cool. And then the last one I have, which I like. Actually, we'll do two. So, because the second one I like as well. But the first one we've got here, 1690, the first ever paper currencies issued in the colonies. And lastly, 2009, Avatar. One of my favorite movies. I love that movie. Avatar has debuted in London. Other than that, guys, see here, any follow-up on yesterday's question about prep routine? I have not seen anything. I will bring that back up here again. Let me just double check. I've got one comment. I'd love to know more about your guys' routine. Because for me, and I'll repeat what I said yesterday. So for me, I grew up in this industry. I grew up with a father as a trader who out the door every morning at 5:30. If you wanted to see dad leave, you had to get up extra early. And he was very regimented in his routine. If it wasn't 5:30, it was probably 4:30. He'd get up, he'd go to work. He was at his desk at 6. He's going through his pre-market planning, and he was only one market, right? He was strictly one market. He traded the 30-year bond option, which is where I ended up going. So he traded that. He did his pre-market prep. He was down on the floor typically by about 7 o'clock. The pit opened up at 7:20. So he's getting in there, getting all his sheets ready to go. We used to run theoreticals and risk, and so your pockets would be overflowing with sheets, and then get your tablet on. You got to make sure it's set up right, and take a couple Advil, because you know you're going to be sitting there leaning on the tablet a little bit, and you're going to get this awful pain in your shoulder. And so I grew up watching a father with a routine. So for me, it was pretty simple. I fell right into a routine, and that's how I went about my trading, and still do. So I wake up in the morning, try and work out, get the coffee going, take the dog out. And my biggest thing in the morning is I sit down on the couch, I put on the local news, I drink a cup of coffee, and I read the Wall Street Journal, and I calm down before I sit down, before I look at a single chart. Then once I look at the chart, then there's processes, right? So I go through the trade plan. I highlight levels in every market I'm looking at. Guys, you've seen my cards. Here's the last month's stack of trades that I'm looking at. Maybe it's old school, I don't know, but hard cards are where it's at. So sit down and do that stuff. That's kind of how my morning goes. I'm going to make a mess if I can't. There we go. That's how the morning goes. So I'd love to hear you guys' routine. I'd love to know if you guys want help with that routine, and maybe we can make it something, do some work on that, and maybe I can highlight how I go about my market prep, because market prep's pretty vital, right? So Magnum, wasn't there a company that allowed us small guys to get a piece of those companies before the IPO? I just can't remember the name. I think there's a few things out there. I definitely do. I don't know the name of them off the top of my head. I have an involvement in a private equity firm that I'm able to get in from time to time. My routine, if I'm not prepared at all in the morning, is to look Vlad, I'll give you personal experience. When I was in the prop firm and I was down on the floor, I was running a little late one morning, and I ran in about a half hour, 40 minutes late. And I was trying to rush, get my jacket on, get down to the floor, get my theoreticals done, do my bell curve, all that stuff. And a couple guys looked at me and go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to get down. Market opens up in 30 minutes. I got to get down there and prepared." And they said, "Nope, you're going to sit here. You're going to get on the phone with Howard. You're going to go through levels, and we'll see you down there once you do your typical morning prep." And that was a game changer for me. So if you feel like you're rushed, if you're running late, that's okay. If you miss that first part of trade, stick to that routine. Routine's vital in this. All right. Coffee. I take weeks. All right. Normally waking up an hour and a half before open is ideal. Absolutely. Outstanding, guys. I love the input here. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback. Appreciate the thoughts. If you guys want some content on that stuff too, let me know. Tanya, I'm excited to read this one. I'm sure this is interesting. Hot lemon water, hygiene, feed the dogs, coffee, eggs, review last night's market review. See if there is a pre-market trade, news, podcast while I wait. I like it. Consistency. Key thing in this industry, guys. Consistent. Be consistent in how you approach the market. That way it allows you to help. It makes things a little bit easier to look at the market in a consistent lens. Because as soon as we start to change and we have these tweaks in our systems and the way we approach our day, things can get a little bit tough. So please, just whatever you do, be consistent in the approach. That's the most important thing. If you can be consistent in how you go about that morning, because we all know, if you guys are here, you guys know the most important parts of trading is not when you're trading, right? Trading is such a small fraction of what we do. It's that preparing, it's that reviewing, going through everything is so important. All right, guys, I have gone on a long enough tangent here. I'm going to sign on out. I appreciate everything here. I really do. This was great. No recap tomorrow. John will be back tomorrow morning, though, 8 a.m. Central Time with the market forecast. So I won't see you guys. But make sure you check out tomorrow. We should be getting 3 Amigos done with myself, Jack, and founder Michael Potok. We'll all be sitting down talking about the 3 major indices. I look forward to that one every week. So make sure you check it out. Let us know what you guys think. Other than that, I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Trade smart. Trade well. I look forward to seeing you guys in the market.